Okay, so today I wanted to talk about this book, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And this is a book written by a Jewish psychologist who was imprisoned in the concentration camps during World War II. And so in the book, he talks about the psychology of being a prisoner in Auschwitz. And then he also talks about, he was in a few different camps, by the way. He also talks about the psychology of becoming free after being in the camps and how that affected people differently. And he talks about the psychology of the prisoners as also the prison guards, different levels. And the book's called Man's Search for Meaning. And so that's kind of how what he focuses on in the book is finding meaning when you have all the opportunities in front of you and you can do whatever you want, pursue whatever you want. And then also finding meaning when you have nothing and everything's been stripped away. So there's a few quotes that I wanted to read from the book. He says, "Moments of comfort do not establish the will to live unless they help the prisoner make larger sense out of his apparently senseless suffering. It's here that we encounter the central theme of existentialism. To live is to suffer, to survive is to find meaning in the suffering. If there's a purpose in life at all, there must be a purpose in suffering and in dying. But no man can tell another what this purpose is. Each must find out for himself and must accept the responsibility that his answer prescribes." So in the book, he kind of talks about this idea that each person, based on their individual interests, have something to offer the world, some kind of meaning of their own. And that meaning is what makes the suffering worth it, I suppose. And you have to define that for yourself. I feel like that is kind of more relevant to people nowadays who are not living in concentration camps and such. There's another quote I wanted to read, which is him talking about success. And he says, "Don't aim at success. The more you aim at it and make it a target, the more you're going to miss it. For success, like happiness, cannot be pursued. It must ensue. And it only does so as the unintended side effect of one's personal dedication to a greater cause than oneself, or as the byproduct of one's surrender to a person other than oneself. Listen to what your conscience commands you to do and go on to carry it out to the best of your knowledge. Success will follow you precisely because you had forgotten to think about it." I really liked that. I do think that, especially in a culture nowadays where there's so much comparison that goes on, the idea that you will not find success by pursuing it is really valuable, because rather than looking at success of others and trying to figure out how they became successful, he kind of puts out this idea that it's more important for us to find something that we're passionate about, and then by pursuing something that we're passionate about, naturally the success will come because it's so ingrained in us to achieve in that area because of how we feel about it. He also talks, something that really stuck out to me in this book, he talks about his wife, and his wife and him both went to the concentration camps at the same time and got separated, and she was killed. but he describes how at a certain point in the camp, he could just imagine his wife and talk to his wife all the time in his own head, and it didn't matter the fact that she wasn't there actually, and he didn't even know at that point in time if she was alive or dead. But because of his relationship with her, he was able to carry her on in his heart. And that made me think a lot about the relationships that I have in my own life, and the people that would be that for me, where death can't even really separate you because they're in your heart. And they're and in that way they're accessible to you even when they're not around, because you have that access to them. There's a lot of stories in here that are very sad. He talks about the fact that everybody psychologically handled it differently. He talks about Sigmund Freud at one point in the book, and how Sigmund Freud had this idea that, let me see if I can find it really quick. He was talking about how Sigmund Freud, here it is. Are you impressed with how fast I found that? Sigmund Freud once asserted, "Let one attempt to expose a number of diverse people uniformly to hunger. With the increase of the imperative urge of hunger, all individual differences will blur, and in their stead will appear the uniform expression of the one unstilled urge. Thank heaven Sigmund Freud was spared knowing the concentration camps from the inside. His subjects lay on a couch designed in plush style of Victorian culture, not in the filth of Auschwitz. There, the individual differences did not blur, but on the contrary, people became more different. People unmasked themselves, both the swine and the saints." So he talks a lot in the book about the different psychological routes that people went down, being exposed to such horrible conditions. I thought that this book was really interesting. It's definitely worth reading. I've been reading a lot of World War II books recently. I've talked about a few of them here, but I really enjoyed this one. At the end, he talks more about, it gets a little more psychology heavy, and the first maybe 2/3 of the book is more about being in the camps. I enjoyed him talking about the camps more than I enjoyed the psychology stuff, but the psychology stuff was still good. It was just a little bit less of a page turner. It becomes more like a textbook at that point. But it was a very good book. I definitely recommend reading it. It's also very, very quick read. It's only a couple hours. It's very short. So, yeah, check out the book. And if you've read it, please leave a comment and tell me what you thought of the book and what was something that stuck out to you in the book. Also, if you have any other World War II recommendations, I've read The Diary of Anne Frank. I've read With the Old Breed by Eugene Sledge, which is a book about an American soldier who went to the Pacific, and he talks about his experience. I've read this. I've read 19 Steps, which is a historical fiction by Millie Bobby Brown. If you have any other World War II recommendations, leave those in the comments, because I would be interested to check it out, as I have been studying it more closely recently. Okay, I think that's it. This video has actually gone longer than I expected. There is more that I could say about the book, but to be honest, he's pretty eloquent himself, so just read it and let him tell you. Alright, I hope you guys are all having a good day. and that you enjoyed my review. Yeah, read it. It's a good book.